video. I don't know if they can hear me. Sure if they hear me. Not sure if they hear me, I don't know. It's like 5 right now. Okay, yeah. Okay. Help me get full gear. What? What just happened? Okay. Well, should be working now. Put some. I'm gonna put some music in the back, I guess. Some, well, maybe video. Actually, how about owie? So, one of these. One day ago.
In the biggest social experiment ever done in Minecraft, I scattered 1,000 people across 4 massive islands to simulate a realistic civilization. The players were given no help or guidance, and just like in real life, if you die, you remain dead forever. No! Now, each player has the freedom to do whatever they want. Gather resources, join a society, become a dictator, or if it comes down to gather resources, join a society, become a dictator, or if it comes down to gather resources, anything can happen. But I can promise you one thing. This event ended up having the most entertaining story arc I've ever seen. You do not want to miss this. So pick a nation to root for and enjoy the video. I present to you the 1,000 player civilization experiment. Don't forget, if you want to participate in these videos, join my Discord server, and of course, subscribe to my channel. All right, everyone ready to be teleported? Jump if you're ready. Okay, here we go.
I'm in.
On day 1, all 1,000 players were teleported to their islands, each its own biome. We had plains, desert, snow, and jungle.
This is huge.
Most players spent the first day scouting their island, searching for a place to settle, but almost immediately we started to see people dying, and oddly they were all coming from the snow island. It turned out people were freezing to death after getting stuck in powdered snow, which looks exactly like regular snow but sucks you in like quicksand. This guy's trying to free his friends. Oh no. Even worse for the poor people on the snow island, trees were almost nowhere to be seen. The desert island also had very few trees, which players needed if they wanted to get wood. But the places where players did find trees quickly became extremely valuable hotspots for groups to settle at and colonize. Look at all these people coming together. Community crafting. They're making progress. Meanwhile, the people on the jungle island had essentially unlimited trees and were thus already thinking about other things. What did you say your plan was?
I'm gonna take over the world. This is my right-hand man.
Darbo. Hello, right-hand man Darbo.
Don't talk to him. He doesn't speak.
While having a lot of trees did seem like an advantage at first, many jungle people found the island to be difficult to traverse, given the immense amount of trees and the hostile mobs that would spawn on the surface due to lack of sunlight. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This fear of traveling also made it more difficult for jungle people to talk with each other, since players could only read chat messages from people 100 blocks away from them or less. Although frankly, at least they didn't have to see what me and the admins were looking at. Lastly, we get to the Plains Island, and boy was it different from the others. It truly was just the perfect island to live on, with green grass, trees, animals, and no natural dangers. You guys make a little animal family. Or farm. Not needing to worry about dying as much as everyone else, the people on the Plains Island were among the first to start mining for resources like iron or diamonds. They were also the first to build up villages and, yes, to create civilizations. Throughout the first day, you could see 2 main groups starting to come together. One of them a democracy led by a player named Horace Crown.
Our aim is building the most beautiful and nicest city on the entire server.
And the second also a democracy led by a player named Sidefall.
I just want to make sure nobody dies.
It was actually kind of odd how similar these 2 civilizations were. They were both located on the southern shore, they both had democratic elections, and their leaders both wanted good for their own people. I just hope nothing happens to change that.
Ish, I'm gonna make an Among Us character.
Never mind, I hope they die. Soon it was the end of day 1. Players across all 4 islands logged off and made plans for the following day. It was on day 2 when civilizations really began to thrive. In the southeast corner of the desert, what used to be an empty patch of grass was turning into the desert's largest nation. Hello, good sir.
Yo, what's up, Ish? The Sultan is back.
You might recognize the player storming hell from my first civilization video where he led a nation called the Sultanate. Well, now the desert dictator is back with the Sultanate 2.0, and this time with a population of over 100 people.
I want to maintain order and peace in the desert.
The rules, as established by the Sultan, included wear proper attire, do not eat pork, complete your mandatory work, and most importantly, acknowledge the Sultan as the supreme and divinely chosen leader. Moving on, since it was still hard to get food in a dry climate, the people of the Sultanate focused on developing different types of food production, like fishing in the surrounding ocean. On top of this, a player named Drip Chicken made a chicken market, although when I checked it out myself, it turned out to be a very different type of market.
Welcome to Los Pollos Hermanos.
Thank you.
Would you like some totally legal sugar?
Anyway, we finally go back to the Snow Island. As I was flying around, I found what I can only describe as a British shrimp. Is the cold climate really the best place for a shrimp?
I mean, depends. But look at my little friend over here, you know?
Wait, who's your friend? Underneath?
Yeah, he's fully here. He's literally...
Oh.
he's chilling.
Oh, he's up here now.
No, my fish buddy. Please go back down.
Despite the killer powdered snow and the occasional polar bear, the people on the Snow Island were actually doing pretty well building settlements together. Nobody was fighting because everyone had one common enemy, the harsh climate. That being said, it turned out that all of these snow settlements might be a bit more than just little communities. On day 2, rumor was getting out about a conspiracy that, despite them all being spread out across the entire island, a lot of these snow settlements were actually all being run by one single person, whose goal was to unify the entire Snow Island under one mighty empire. This person's name was Alanulo, and he was running this entire empire recruitment operation from an underground bunker where he felt he was safe for the time being. Essentially what he would do was hold meetings with people who were already leaders of their own settlements and convince them to merge their civilizations with his empire so they would be stronger together. He would give these leaders orders to fulfill, and in exchange they would be guaranteed high-ranking positions in the empire. If this empire actually succeeds in uniting all 300 people on the Snow Island, it would easily become the most powerful nation in the world. In fact, it would be bigger than the Sultanate and the two Plains democracies combined. Will this ambitious plan actually succeed? Let's see what happens in the following days. We've now covered the politics of every island except for the jungle, so what's going on here? Well, quite frankly, I had no freaking idea. It was chaos. There were about 30 different camps and tribes spread out across the entire island, and a lot of them were in constant fights with each other. Who are the... What is going on? There's a fight here. Here's a tribe that imprisoned one of their own members for being, quote, too rich.
I say we tax him and then let him out of jail. Well,
Them boots, take your shoes.
So overall, there was chaos, nobody trusted one another, and to add to this, nobody wanted to travel too far into the jungle because they were scared of rogue tribes and especially hostile mobs. In fact, we actually had to remove creepers on day 3 because they were killing too many people.
Whoever asked.
Now, there were actually 2 tribes that were considered the most influential in the jungle. The first, a river-based settlement called the Sea People, whose leader was killed almost immediately by a random rogue tribe. The new leader, Yeetspeak, dedicated his rule to maintaining order, but also to keeping his people happy by setting up events like stand-up comedy nights.
I got a few jokes about unemployed people. Oh wait, none of them work.
The second influential tribe was located in the dead center of the jungle, and it was what appeared to be a faction revolving around the worship of a player named Seth. Hello, Mr. Seth.
Oh, what's up, bro?
Oh, this is just creepy. You're telling me this isn't a personality cult?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. It's a way of life, all right? It's a religion.
Lastly, as I was flying around, I happened to run into this guy again.
I'm gonna take over the world.
Believe it or not, he had actually become the leader of a pretty impressive settlement. Granted, there was a lot of internal drama in his tribe.
Do you see this like really cool tower thing that we're building here?
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah. It's really cool, isn't it? And do you see our farm over there? It looks really cool and nice. Now come over here. Could you tell us what this is?
In short, two of Wazik's tribe members built a librarian's tower, and he thought it was ugly and wanted to burn it down. Now, when I talked to the librarians, they said Wazik just doesn't like the library because he's illiterate. As I said, drama. Now, the jungle wasn't the only place having problems. The Plains Island was seeing both a surge in development, this whole place is awesome, but also a rise in tension. The leader of one of the Plains democracies, Horus Crown, had found out that the other Plains nation, run by Sidefall, had reached out to the Snow Island looking for potential alliances. Horus Crown did not like that Sidefall was reaching out to other islands instead of reaching out to him, so he quickly established his own alliance with two other Plains settlements, both located on the east side of the island, which would essentially cut off Sidefall's access to most of Plains if a war were to break out.
We think Sidefall is definitely up to something, and we're planning to stop him.
The people living on the Plains Island, who had otherwise taken their peaceful lives for granted, were getting very worried about a potential massive war that would devastate their homes.
Here in KFC, we want family, not war.
Meanwhile, on the desert island, the Sultan storming hell was not happy when he discovered that a group of mountaineers had made their home on the mountains surrounding the Sultanate. So, the two groups had a meeting to discuss this dispute over land.
Why does the Sultanate have any more right to a plot of land?
Simply, might makes right. We're stronger, so if it comes down to it, may the stronger group win.
People in the desert were starting to get worried about Storming Hell's tyrannical nature, so some of them moved to a quickly growing democratic nation on the other side of the island. This was Theria, the name derived from the Greek word for freedom. I asked their elected president, Saps, about the Sultanate.
Hopefully we can establish some peaceful relations for now. I mean, we're in the middle of a desert. Why fight, you know?
Overall, each island had its own conflict between the desert's sultan dominance, the plains' alliance disaster, the jungle's total chaos, and the Snow Empire's takeover. At least one of these conflicts was bound to erupt very soon. And that conflict was Plains. At the beginning of Day 4, a propagandist told everyone that Sidefall was about to attack the Plains Island. Horus Crown called a code red, and everyone on Plains was freaking out, including these guys at the center of the Plains Island who built a tavern on a lake. I spoke with the bartender.
Welcome to the tavern. I hope you can enjoy a nice beer, since it might be our last.
So at this point, you're probably wondering, what was Sidefall actually doing? Well, it turns out Sidefall was just as confused as everyone else since he had no plans to attack anyone. The propagandist had lied.
I have no clue what these guys are talking about. I don't want to attack anyone. I don't want a civil war.
You were framed. I can't believe it. So now, both sides were gearing up for a war over nothing but a miscommunication. And all throughout, Sidefall was desperately trying to reach out to the other Plains leaders, saying that he didn't want war. The other leaders doubted him, but they actually agreed to meet with him as long as they met on neutral ground.
Whoever told you guys I want war is lying.
Tell us the truth then.
While they talked, Horus Crown secretly had undercover spies search Sidefall's entire village, but he wasn't aware Sidefall had someone else place a bunch of TNT under his village. But before things went too far...
Folks, we have a peace deal.
By the thinnest of margins, crisis was averted. After talking, the leaders had made a peace treaty. I actually didn't get to see much of the meeting, but here's essentially what happened. Sidefall first apologized to the other Plains leaders for not being open with them, specifically about his relationship with the Snow Island. He told them he had only reached out to Snow in hopes to get on the good side of a player named A Freakin' Turkey, who was apparently Olanulo's second in command. The Plains leaders discussed their disagreements on foreign relations, Horus Crown preferring keeping alliances within planes, and Sidefall believing in making allies on other islands. But they were able to put their differences aside. They banished the propagandist from the Plains Island, and at the end, the 4 major Plains nations created a Great Plains Alliance. The Plains Island went from being on the brink of war to being the most united island of all.
Drinks are on us!
And it wasn't just plains. Toward the end of the day, all 4 islands were prospering. From the people on snow collecting resources and building together, to the people in the desert working on the Sultan's build project, which was to create a massive holy city. Even the jungle was at peace at the end of day 4, since the remaining jungle people were just thankful that they were still alive. Soon though, it was the next day. But before we let people back onto the server, the admins and I decided to add a little something. We added a 5th island in the center of the world, and we didn't tell the players that we did this. We wanted to see who would discover the island, how long it would take to find, and then what would happen next. So, we started up the server, and the wait began. But meanwhile, we have to talk about the Snow Island. Hello, Turkey!
Hello-ish! How's it going?
On day 5, the player A Freakin' Turkey finally gave me a full explanation of the mysterious Snow Empire, which I found out was named the Aculon Empire. Still fearing for his safety, the Empire's founder, Olanulo, gave orders entirely from his secret underground bunker, while his second in command, A Freakin' Turkey, carried out his orders and led the people on the ground. You guys have settlements across the entire island.
There is a lot. Just know none of it was made by slaves.
The Empire relied on strict order to maintain peace. It's now 200 citizens were each assigned a daily job like building, mining, or fighting, and whenever they were online, all citizens were required to be in 2 Discord voice channels at once, which I didn't even know was possible. Also, the Aculon Empire made it a point to document everything, including its list of members, its hierarchies, its physical landmarks, but what I found most impressive was the high-level operation going on in this seemingly regular building.
This singular building is the richest place in the entire server.
They called this the Quartermaster's House, and it was where the Aculon Empire not only collected and stored all its resources, but also distributed items using a complex request system, where, for example, a citizen asks for iron ingots, and then the Quartermasters decide exactly how much iron that citizen deserves, based on a detailed algorithm they developed. Has anyone tried breaking into this place?
Not yet. Let's just say, if you tried to get in without permission, you're not gonna get a very nice welcome.
And I kid you not, just a few minutes later, this player, Xelius, was caught trying to sneak his way in, and he was sentenced to a public execution to be held the next day. Things are kind of strict around here, huh?
As long as they don't take away my squid, I'm a happy man. Oh man, look at him.
The Snow Island continued to be hyper-vigilant about criminals, but so were other nations, like the Desert Sultanate, which made an inescapable prison. He is surrounded by lava. Or Wazak's nation in the jungle, which made a giant sand trap. Oh, this is evil.
Just you wait until we have a nice little deliberation with something.
Yeah, I'm gonna be put to death, you know. Like,
even planes didn't feel exactly safe, as this self-described capitalist nation made a giant wall to protect its people.
We want to make sure that communists cannot take this away from us.
But as I was talking to these guys, I got tipped off from someone in the desert that something big was about to happen. The Sultanate army's on the move. The Sultanate sent his elite squad on a secret nighttime mission. Their goal? To find a group of people that had been rumored to want to assassinate the Sultan. They're at the north side of the island now.
Oh yeah, okay, this is our target, Okay,
let's go.
According to the Sultan, the people hiding in this little settlement were indeed the attempted assassins, and now the group had a decision to make.
Oh, we're gonna kill this guy.
Do we kill this guy?
Up until now, there hadn't been any violence between desert nations. Will this be the breaking point?
We are showing the desert that if you make plans to kill me,
justice will come for you.
The Sultan's elite squad spent the rest of the night raiding the settlement, but during their chase of another suspected assassin, they ran, literally, into a major dilemma.
We know he's running to Theria.
The guy they were trying to kill was running toward the democratic nation of Theria to get asylum there. The Sultanate is really about to roll up on Theria. Holy, this could cause a major conflict. But the Sultanate's army didn't care. They barged into Theria and searched every single house to find this one person who ultimately ended up getting away. Meanwhile, the people of Theria were freaked out by the raid, but when they looked to their leader Saps for guidance, he was nowhere to be seen. He had fled. Eventually, the Sultanate's army left, but Theria was not going to forget this.
By attempting to blow up the quartermaster's house, Zelius betrayed our people. And for this, he must die. Glory to Aculon.
It was a busy day for A Freakin' Turkey. The execution was successful, but the Empire didn't yet have a written constitution or a justice system. So A Freakin' Turkey met with a player who claimed to be a lawyer to set up a legal system.
You get the smaller seat, unfortunately, but do know it is quite important as well.
I'm used to cramming into tight spaces.
Afterward, A Freakin' Turkey took his guard to Drew and confronted some farmers who he claimed weren't producing enough food for the Empire.
I swear I will not miss any payment I have to owe you.
Drew, the bow, please. I expect 5 stacks of bread delivered within 1 to 2 business days.
Even though he was a little tyrannical at times, A Freakin' Turkey was actually becoming very well liked in the Aculon Empire because he got things done and he was a charismatic speaker.
Fellow citizens, it is my distinct honor to pronounce Steve and Pixel as husband and wife.
See, even though he was only the second in command of the Snow's Aculon Empire, many people were starting to view A Freakin' Turkey as a better candidate for leader than Alanulo, since most people in the Empire had never even seen Alanulo, given that he's been hiding underground the entire time, afraid of being assassinated. In fact, some of his own citizens weren't even sure he existed. While Alanulo ruled from afar, only talking with high-ranking officials, A Freakin' Turkey was considered a man of the people, someone who talks to everyone. In fact, A Freakin' Turkey had gained so much notoriety that leaders of other nations were starting to reach out to him for alliances rather than to Alanulo. So, as a result of all of this, Alanulo was starting to get a little worried.
Turkey knows that I created this empire and its entire political system, and as long as I am alive, I will be its only ruler.
That's very funny.
Our monkey religion, we hold fast to it.
Here on the Jungle Island, things haven't slowed down one bit. Amidst the chaos, this small group had made a monkey religion, and their goal was to build the biggest tree in the entire world.
The monkey never stops. While everyone else is fighting and killing each other, we are peacefully building.
By now, every tribe in the jungle seemed to have its own goal. These guys, building a tree. This group, called the Blue Cross, provided food and shelter to refugees. Meanwhile, Wazak's goal, which was still to take over the world, was seemingly driving him mad, especially after the librarians built a second tower. You did this out of spite, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, yeah.
Overall, it seemed like there was a lot on Wazak's mind, as if he was planning something big. Meanwhile, Seth and the Sea People were still the two biggest tribes in the jungle, and both pursued very innovative political strategies. For example, Seth got married, but only so he could parade around the jungle and demand wedding gifts from everyone. And you know what? It freaking worked. The Sea People, on the other hand, had taken on a massive goal, which was to finally end the chaos in the jungle, and they did this by sending out stealth groups and hunting down thieves, murderers, and anyone who they claimed did wrong. However, some of the supposed wrongdoers they killed were actually allies of Seth. In response, Seth demanded that the Sea People stop their initiative immediately, but the Sea People planned to continue. All of a sudden, the jungle island was on the verge of a massive war, as if there wasn't enough chaos already. Wait, is someone actually here?
I think so.
Whoa, this is crazy. This is awesome, man.
On day 7, a player named the Pokemonkey discovered the secret 5th island. The island had a mysterious dead terrain, a small pre-built village in the center, and underground, it contained netherite, which is the strongest and rarest resource in the world. Now, Pokemonkey was a part of Sidefall's nation in Plains, and he quickly alerted Sidefall about the very strange and unexpected discovery he'd just made. He's taking the blue lantern so people believe him. Guys, I'm not lying, there really is an island! 2 minutes later, another person found the center island. This time, someone from the jungle. Then, like a domino effect, more and more people started arriving, typically either alone or in small groups, like these guys from the desert. Even though they all came from different islands and nations, nobody was fighting. In fact, they seemed to be forming friendships and simply admiring this new mysterious place. He's saying this is amazing. Quickly, word began spreading across the world that there was a 5th island, and about 30 minutes into day 7, basically everyone knew. It was crazy how fast everyone found out. Now, some nations were hesitant about visiting, believing that the island was some sort of trap, while other nations like the Aculon Empire sent out large exploratory groups to investigate the island. So Aculon is here, but instead of mining for netherite, they're taking the wool from the tents. Oh, they don't have sheep in the snow island. That makes sense. Something I found interesting was that no nation, not even the Snow Empire, had the courage to publicly claim the center island as part of their nation, as their territory, probably because it would result in conflict with other nations, which was my secret intention when adding the island, that it would cause some type of war. But it didn't cause a war, or maybe just not yet. Meanwhile, I present to you the story of Los Pollos Hermanos. Wow, you've really expanded your business.
Yeah, we're doing quite well.
Because starvation was such a big problem in the desert, Drip Chicken had made it his life's mission to feed the people of the desert. And ever since I spoke with him on day 2 next to his little food stand, Los Pollos Hermanos had become a staple of the Sultanate. But this business would soon run into some problems. See, on days 4 and 5, the Sultan storming hell was unsatisfied with the slow progress on his build project, the Holy City. So he demanded that the farmers of the Sultanate stop growing food and instead work on his build project. And just like that, the food supply going into Los Pollos Hermanos had completely stopped. The restaurant suddenly had no food available to sell. Having no food, Drip Chicken was instead forced to sell some questionable products, and if he was caught selling these products by either the Sultan or the Sultan's twin guards, he would probably receive a life sentence in the Sultanate prison. Meanwhile, the farmers of the Sultanate were unhappy since they wanted to farm, not be forced to build. So in a rebellious move on day 5, Drip Chicken and the farmers secretly set up a meeting with Saps, the leader of Theria.
I know you want to move to Theria, but if you do, the Sultan will send his elite squad to hunt you down.
So, what do we do?
go to plains or something. There's about to be chaos in the desert.
And Saps was correct. There was about to be chaos in the desert, for reasons he couldn't tell the farmers just yet, but he did tell me.
You know who Davert is?
Yeah, I think so. He's one of the twin guards, right?
He's about to leave the Sultanate and join me.
Really? The two people the Sultan trusts the most are his two twin guards, the brothers Davrit and Zamta, but one of them had grown tired of the authoritarian and warmongering ways of the Sultan. So Davrit had reached out to the leader of Theria, and together they created the single craziest plan I have ever heard, and this was it. First, Davrit leaves the Sultanate to join Theria. Next, the Sultan finds out about the betrayal and sends his elite squad to kill Davrit. Then, when the elite squad is away hunting for Davrit and the Sultan is therefore alone, Davrit will sneak back into the Sultanate and kill the Sultan. Davrit will then claim leadership over the Sultanate, and as the new leader, he will finally bring peace to the desert. Davrit, there is no way this works.
Brother, grow some chest hair. Trust me, you'll work, alright?
So, at the end of day 7, Davrit snuck out of the Sultanate and headed to Theria to begin the operation, while Drip Chicken and the farmers fled to the Plains Island. On their way out, some of them took one final look back at their home, at their restaurant, knowing that they would probably never see it again, knowing that the story of Los Pollos Hermanos had come to an end. On day 8, there was a major event on the Snow Island. For the first time ever, Emperor Olanulo had come out from his underground bunker. He had summoned the entire Snow Island to the Aculon Castle so he could publicly be crowned as the leader. Before the coronation, all high-ranking officials were required to provide Olanulo a gift.
I present to you a high-quality pair of premium brand sneakers.
Thank you, Applewood.
I, Baron Saul Goodman, give you this present, Lord Olanulo. My presence is your present.
After the gifts, Olanulo asked his second-in-command, A Freakin' Turkey, to make a speech affirming Olanulo's undisputed leadership.
My friends, the Aculon Empire is the strongest nation in the world. Not because of one leader, but because of all of us.
Thank you, Turkey.
At the end of the ceremony, Olanulo asked all of his citizens to follow him out of the castle, down the main path of the Empire, in a symbolic move meant to showcase the unity of the Snow Island. But this image of unity was only a mirage. There was a lot of discontent building within the Empire for many reasons. People didn't like that Olanulo's knights were constantly bossing them around, nor did the Aculon builders like it when Olanulo forced them to work on the Aculon Castle instead of letting them finish their own projects. There was this general sense that Olanulo might be overreaching with his power, especially when he started spying on his own citizens to see who was criticizing his leadership. See, Olanulo believed that in order for his citizens to have a good life, they have to live in a strong nation, and the only way to maintain a strong nation was through complete unity under a powerful and unchallenged leader. This is why Olanulo was fearful about the discontent of his second-in-command, A Freakin' Turkey. Knowing that they were being spied on, many of A Freakin' Turkey's supporters were becoming scared living on the Snow Island, afraid that they would be executed for not supporting Olanulo's leadership. So, with the help of A Freakin' Turkey, plus another high-ranking official, its Ender, some Aculon citizens organized secret evacuations out of the Snow Island through underground tunnels, some of which led to Seth's nation in the jungle, others going to sidefall Sidefall's nation in Plains. Both Seth and Sidefall were very open to accepting refugees, especially those who opposed Olanulo, someone who they believed to be a dangerous tyrant. Also, they had just found out that Olanulo had actually sent spies all across the world, including into their own nations, so they didn't like him very much.
We're not going back until there's some form of democracy in Snow. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Meanwhile in Plains, Mr. Turkey, are you starting a revolution?
No, I do not want a revolution. I just want to make sure Olanulo doesn't kill these people.
When are you going back to the Snow Island?
Probably tomorrow, because I'm going to try and host a meeting with Olanulo. I just think he's gone too far.
So while a freaking turkey stayed on the Plains Island for the rest of the day, Seth and Sidefall created the first ever multi-island treaty. This treaty not only established Seth and Sidefall as allies, but it also declared their nations refugee states, ones that are willing to accept all people fleeing from dictatorial regimes like the Sultanate or the Akulon Empire. As for a freaking turkey's position in the Akulon Empire, he was still technically the second in command, but it was only a matter of time before Olanulo finds out about the missing citizens, and then it's very likely that Turkey will be stripped of his position or be kicked out of the Snow Island entirely and become a refugee himself. Yeah, I don't know if... Wait, is that a basketball court? On day 8, the center island was getting a lot of visits from curious players, and instead of fighting each other, everyone was just kind of hanging out and doing their own thing.
Look at this.
What is this? Don't question me. Later that night, some adventurers started terraforming the dead terrain, making it green. This actually looks not bad. These guys, meanwhile, made a secret underground church, and they hosted many ceremonies and cultural events. What type of ritual is this? Now, I actually attended 2 churches on day 8, the second one in Sidefall's nation, although I was very disturbed by the person sitting next to me.
After a near-death experience, life began to feel more sacred, only due in part to the wonders they hold. I cannot say what they are, however, right way to lead this world.
Whoa, what did I do?
They're taking him away. Oh no. Later that night, the Plains Island received an unexpected visit from the Akulon Empire's state-sponsored journalist. I'm with the news. Down with the news. Go away, tabloids. Go away. No false news today. They're kicking out the journalists. Oh my god. Meanwhile, I ran into these Plains farmers who literally did nothing but plant wheat everywhere. Oh my god.
Look at all this freaking wheat.
Now, right next to the wheat field was a cookie factory in Horus Crown's nation, which took the wheat and made a variety of baked goods. See, ever since the Great Plains Alliance was signed on day 4, the people of Plains believed their island to be, for the most part, a very safe place to live, and as a result, many players felt secure enough to run their own businesses. There was the bakery, an Outback Steakhouse, boating and kayaking, 2 KFCs, and there was the most recent addition, Los Pollos Hermanos. You made one in the Plains biome?
Yes. Expansion.
Claiming refugee status, Drip Chicken and the Sultanate farmers received citizenship in Sidefall's nation, where they were able to rebuild their famous restaurant, and the people of Plains welcomed the refugees with open arms. The only person who wasn't happy was the owner of KFC, who now had competition. Anyway, when word got out in the desert that Drip Chicken and the farmers had fled the Sultanate, as did Davrit, many loyalists in the Sultanate were furious with these betrayals. While the Sultanate was still the second most powerful nation in the world, the first being Akulon, these betrayals of the Sultanate hurt the Sultan's public image, and he feared being seen as weak by the world and by his own people. So predictably, the Sultan sent his elite squad out into the desert to try to find find and kill both Davrit and Drip Chicken. But instead of staying home in the Sultanate, this time the Sultan traveled with his elite squad. This threw a wrench into Davrit's assassination plan, and Davrit had no choice but to keep hiding underground until he saw an opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, the leader of Theria, Saps, was extremely worried because he knew that the fate of his nation and his people rested on this assassination attempt. If it succeeds and the Sultan is killed, well, then all is well. But if it fails, it will only be a matter of time before the Sultan finds out that Saps was behind the plan, and then there is no doubt that the Sultan will seek revenge and absolutely obliterate Theria, killing not just Saps, but all his people who, by the way, were entirely innocent. Saps purposefully didn't tell any of his citizens that he was involved in an assassination plot because they definitely wouldn't approve of something that puts them in such danger. All of this tension in the desert was really starting to get to some people, like this group which made a giant lava wall around their civilization. They wanted nothing to do with the politics of the desert, and they were rather paranoid about everything.
The walls keep us safe. We can't leave the walls for long, because then we're not safe. Everyone inside the walls is safe, everyone outside is not safe. They're strangers, we shouldn't trust them. Oh, by the way, also don't push any buttons you find in here.
Okay. I actually think this group was more of a cult than a civilization, but still, I think they had the right idea. And now we go back to the Jungle War. I say war because both major nations had already basically decided that they cannot coexist in the jungle. Seth was mad at the Sea People for killing many of his allies, while the Sea People were mad because Seth wouldn't let them kill those who they believed to be criminals. Neither nation was willing to compromise on this, so war seemed inevitable. However, because Seth had also recently formed an alliance with Sidefall from Plains, a war between the two jungle nations would likely cause Sidefall, as well as the rest of the Plains Island, to join the battle, thus turning this into an actual world war. So, given that the stakes were so much higher now, both sides agreed to have one final meeting to maybe work things out. It was Wazak who quickly offered his nation as a good neutral location for the meeting, and he was quite enthusiastic about hosting. On day 8, Seth and the Sea People sent their highest ranking officials to Wazak's nation, where the meeting would take place.
Alright, Seth. You're up first.
I think the Sea People are killing people for a lot of irrational reasons. So, you know, as an example, right? They had 5 stacks of cookies taken from them. That takes like 3 minutes to get, bro. And he's like, I don't think you should murder someone over that.
We requested he give it back, and he basically said no, so he was put on KOS and we killed him.
So that was exactly what Seth just said.
Let me add some context.
Soon, the argument began to escalate.
And the people you attacked were direct allies.
I'm sorry, but what other ways do we have to stop the chaos in the jungle?
They stole. They didn't deserve to be killed over it.
Do you really want to go to war over this?
Well, if you keep killing our people, then we won't just stand by and watch.
Alright, fine. The Sea People declare war.
Alright, let's do it.
But before a fight could begin, Wazak yelled,
"Double now!"
Oh my god.
Go!
Wazak had just killed 7 people using his sand trap before getting away. Seth and the Sea People decided to put their war on hold and declared a unified worldwide manhunt for Wazak. Everyone was confused about why Wazak did this, but then I remembered something Wazak had told me the day before.
Listen, if the war breaks out, I have a plan to stop it.
Really? How?
Oh, you'll see, my friend.
When Seth and the Sea People declared war on each other, Wazak decided to use his sand trap and make himself the villain, so that the entire jungle would make peace to unite against him, therefore actually preventing a world war. Wazak is now hiding underground. After spending spending most of the previous day trying to hunt down his enemies, the Sultan storming hell decided to take a break from the hunt and attend a wedding hosted by a small neighboring desert nation. It was a huge honor in the desert for the Sultan to visit your civilization, so there was a lot of buzz surrounding the Sultan's visit, and everyone in the desert knew he would be there. Zamta the twin guard was also at the wedding, and he was quite thankful for the break since he secretly despised having to hunt for his own brother. When the Sultan demanded that Davert be tracked down and killed, Zamta was horrified by this order, but he kept silent, fearing that he'd be next. Zamta could only hope that Davert was far away now, hiding in a place where the Sultan would never find him. But it turned out Davert was not far away at all, because he was on a mission. He's actually here. Davert was coming to kill the Sultan, but he had to be sneaky because the Sultan was guarded by his elite team. The plan was to catch him and his team off guard since it would only take a few hits to kill him. I'm so nervous right now. Did the wedding end? The wedding's over! He's leaving! Oh, he's leaving! Oh! Davert! Holy crap! Oh! He's hit him so many times! Wait, Storming's getting away? The elite team is on Davert big time. Oh! Oh! Oh, he's getting close! He's getting close! Oh, he turned around? Holy crap, everyone's here now! This is insane! Sultan's on his way back home, I think. What is happening?
See ya.